I forgot I was going to add cinnamon to half of this dough for our cinnamon raisin after I got done mixing it up. So I am going to, best I can, try to kind of divide it in half. Should have just turned it out onto the countertop and divided it, but I don't do it easy. Usually if you wet your hands a little bit, it's a little bit easier to work with. It doesn't stick so bad. Of course, I didn't do that either, so. Okay. I could put these bowls on a scale and weigh them to make sure they're pretty close to even, but that looks good enough for me. So this is going to be the one we put the blueberries in. I'm going to, let's see. Wet my hands a little bit. And I don't really know how much cinnamon I want to put in here. Again, just adding. And we're going to start our stretch and folds. So you do 4 of these 30 minutes apart for 2 hours. So basically you stretch, fold it over itself. So I'm just going to work my cinnamon in this way. Turn it a quarter turn, stretch, and fold. I'll probably do a couple more stretch and folds just to get a little more cinnamon in it. Stretch and fold. Oh, these dogs can't make up their mind. They want out, I let them out. They want right back in. I let them in. They want back out, I let them back out. So this dough is definitely not as wet as the last ones I did. I may have made it a little too dry. It's not stretching as well. But we'll make it work. A lot of times the dough is still almost kind of a runny consistency, and then as you do your stretch and folds you actually watch it come together. I am going to do, the first one here is stretch and folds, and then I've really started to like the coil folds. So we'll do that for the last 3. I just didn't think coil folds would go very well for incorporating my cinnamon that I forgot about. So, okay. Now I'm just going to let that sit for 30 minutes. I'm going to wash the cinnamon off my hands and we'll stretch and fold the other one. Okay. So, forgot to wet my hands. One side, we're going to stretch and fold. Stretch, fold, third time, side. Okay, so we're going to cover both of those, let them sit for 30 minutes. We'll probably run out and feed Sugar's buckling and just check all the kids and the piglets. Okay, well, it's about 12:30. Forgot to grab my camera and I wasn't taking my muddy boots off to go back in the house. We're going to go feed the bottle baby. Hi boys. Still hoping that she will start letting him nurse, but definitely not counting on it. Hi ladies. Hi QB. Oh, Classy is right over there. She come in, had breakfast this morning. Still completely full of ligaments. Yeah, see, he's standing. Oh no, that's a little girl. So, he was laying next to her, right? No, that is the boy. She was laying next to, the little girl was laying next to her. The buckling was standing back there. Mazikeen's doling just went under to eat. And the buckling laying in the corner. You are a hot mess this year. You know that? You have never acted like this when you had kids, and I'm not liking it. My goodness. No, no. I just want him. No. No, no. You're not gonna be mean. Oh, I don't know how well you guys can see that because I can't see the screen. Hey, come here. Whoa. He's still figuring it out. Maybe. Get your tongue right. There you go. So, according to my bottle feeding chart, for the 3 pounds that he weighs, he should be getting average about 8 ounces a day. It says split between 5 to 6 feedings, but we'll probably get 4 to 5 feedings in. Hey! Did you want this or not? I don't know why this bottle's leaking. I forgot to look at it in the house. Oh. There you go. In case it wasn't recording very well. By the time we get done with this, we'll be able to go back in and do our next stretch and folds on our bread. I'll stop and check out the piglets on the way back. I looked before I came out and it said it was about 55 degrees. We were supposed to have some pretty decent rain and storms blowing in. Supposed to start in about a half hour. I looked at the radar just before I come out, and it looks like most of it is gonna blow past us about, well, after 6:30. The radar only went to 6:30, and it looked like something might be blowing our way, but it may go just north of us, so I kind of hope it does. We're still trying to dry out. I don't need more moisture. He's a hungry boy, huh? I will keep weighing these guys every day so that I can make sure that they have gain. I started feeding him and offering her a little bit because she had not gained, and he had actually lost weight after he had gained that first day, so. Sir, you gotta take it easy. You can only have so much. Mazakine's all doling in there. She's got some long legs. A little tail going. Okay, sir. Okay. We gotta give your sister a little bit if she wants it. And check on Piglets. Oh. Hi. Hi. Yeah. Good job, Mama. Hi, Mama. Good girl. Good girl. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. Hey, where are you going? Huh? Where are you going? Their little ears all flip back. They get a little bit bigger, they'll flip down just like the big pigs. I do last fall their litters. We waited until they were much older to notch their ears, and we will be registering some of these guys because we would like to show some of them. So I want to try probably tomorrow, before they get really active, to maybe get out here and try to notch their ears. One ear will be their litter number, so this will be litter 3, and the other ear will be their order of birth, so 1 through 11. Hi, Freya. Oh, you gonna let me out here, Big Mama? What do you think? Alright, I need to go check for eggs. And then, oh, Kane, you are gonna knock me over. Come on. Oh, and it should be about time to go in and work on our bread. The dogs are checking out the piglets. I'll get them, they're all up and moving. What do you think about those piggies, Naners? Huh? They get up and running around so fast. Alright, in for bread. Okay, we're gonna do our next set of stretch and folds. Like I said, we're going to do coil folds this time. So instead of stretching it and folding it over, we're just gonna pick it in the middle. My bowl is so light that it's picking it up with it. And then we're going to coil that under. And we're gonna do the same thing on this side. Once we get it up to release, coil it under. Then we're gonna turn it. Once we get sticky again, get them wet. Just coil it under. Now we'll do the cinnamon. Oh, Mama Dog, get going. She is old and I'm pretty sure she's going senile. I think she's 14 or 15. We're really not sure. She was 2 or 3, the vet said when we took her in. And that was 12 years ago. 2012. Not quite 12 years ago. No. 2012. I don't know. She's like 14 or 15, according to what the vet thought. So, she's old. Okay. So I'm going to cover those back up, let them sit for another 30 minutes, and we'll do that 2 more times. Get these out of the way. We are going to go ahead and shape our sourdough sandwich bread. It is pretty much doubled. It springs back pretty quickly, kind of not all the way out. And before we start, these are 2 pans I'm going to put it in. So with these stoneware, I don't really have to oil them a whole lot. This is just an avocado spray. So those are ready. We'll just set them over here out of the way. So I do have my flour shaker here in case we need it. I don't think it's very sticky. Now, the original recipe makes 4 loaves, and I have made the 4 and put them in the freezer. But for me, it's just easier to make 2 at a time fresh, because I'm usually making something anyway. I should try making this into like hamburger buns or something. Okay. So, yeah, it's pretty sticky. More sticky than I thought it was going to be. So I am going to, let's see, I'll go this way first. And I'm just going to kind of try to roll it up onto that flour, I guess. I got this bench scraper from Pampered Chef. I really like their stuff. Some of it I think is overpriced, but this is the best bench scraper that I've used. Okay. About half. Doesn't have to be exact. Let's set this half up here out of the way. of stretch this out, probably get my rolling pin and roll it out. I like to do sandwich loaves like I do my French bread. And roll them up. So I'm just going to, from one end, try to roll it tightly so that I don't get air pockets in the middle. And I'm just going to pinch that. Kind of tuck my ends in. I don't always make pretty loaves, but like you guys know, I don't care what it looks like as long as it tastes good. Oh, up here. And we're just going to roll it so that your seam is down and set it in the pan. I do an Amish white bread, I think is what the recipe calls it. And I do the same thing, it's just a little bit different recipe. Same thing here. And if it's getting too sticky, you can take your bench scraper and scrape under it. It'll rise enough that the wrinkles and stuff on top won't make a difference on how it looks. Pinch it. Tuck the ends. And then this is going to rise until double again. I don't know, maybe a couple hours or so. And then I'm just going to cover these probably with a couple beeswax wraps, not tight, so that when they rise it can kind of expand with it. You could do a tea towel or just regular kitchen towel. And we're almost ready for our next stretch and fold. Clean up this stuff real quick, and then by then we should be ready for our next folds. Okay, let's do, what is this, number 3? Second coil fold, but third fold. Oh, wet my hands. don't want to stretch a whole lot. We're going to help it out a little here. And then we will do one more set of coil folds, and then we will roll them out and shape them. No, actually I changed it in my last one. Then we're going to let them sit at room temp for several hours to do a bulk ferment, and then we will shape them. I like that better on the last ones that I did. Alright, time for our last stretch and fold. A coil fold is what we're actually going to do. And then we're going to let this sit to bulk ferment for, it says, about 2 to 3 hours, depending on the temperature of your room. It says you want about a 50% rise out of it. And then we're going to shape it. Well, we'll stretch it out. Add in our laminations. And then we'll shape it. And if it's something that's going to cold ferment overnight, it would go into the fridge for up to 36 hours, or, which I think we'll probably try with the blueberry. The cinnamon raisin I made a big mess out of last time because I did some brown sugar, kind of swirled with the raisins, and when I put it in the fridge overnight, of course I soaked my raisins so that could be part of it, but I drained them really well. The loaf pan was just like full of a syrup, so we're gonna do this one without the cold ferment and the blueberries with the cold ferment. So we're going to cover these back up, let them bulk ferment for probably at least 2 to 3 hours. I don't know. We'll see how long it takes to get to about 50%, so it'll be pretty close to the top of the bowl. And last time I did my bulk ferment, when I shook it, it really jiggled. So it's not as warm in here. I think it's still like 75, but we'll see how that goes. And our other sandwich bread is probably about halfway to where we want it to be. Okay, here's our sandwich bread. The oven is preheating to 450. I test them. I got several spots that I've poked them, but when I poke and it bounces back but it still leaves a dent, then I know that they're ready to go. I thought they were going to be ready earlier, but when I poked them, it bounced back super fast. So these are going to go, it says 40 to 45 minutes, and it says 425 to 475. So basically what I do is I put them in for about half the time, and then I rotate them because the back left corner of my oven's a little bit hotter. But I then take my thermometer that I was testing, checking the milk and stuff with earlier, and stick the bread, and once it's right around 200 degrees, between 190 and 200 on my sourdough. Regular loaves I go about 205, then I know it's done. I don't normally score these, but I think I might try scoring one of them just to see if it makes a difference. It doesn't usually rise so bad that it blows out the side or anything like that, but just for the fun of it, we'll see. I don't have anything fancy for scoring my bread. I just washed a regular razor blade that I use like in my in my pocket knife, and I use that for my scoring. And I thought I would show you. I don't know, I didn't keep track of what time it was when we fed the starters, but this, I don't want to tip it too far. I don't know if you guys can see the bubbles in there. So it was just below 1 cup. It's just below 2 cups right now. Oh, darn dogs. And this one is the same. I will say too that I used pretty much all of my starter the other day. I literally only had the little bit that I couldn't quite scrape out of the jar, and I scraped it all kind of down to the bottom, added some water, shook it around in the jar, and fed it. And then what you saw me use today is what came out of it. So you don't really need a whole lot of starter. You know, you don't have to feed it all the time if you're not going to use it all the time. These are starting to get jiggly, but not enough. I don't know if you can see the bubbles on the side or not. Not quite where they need to be. I have them sitting over on top of the stove because it's warmer over there where it's preheating. I actually took the 2 loaves and the 2 bowls. That one's getting better. And smells good. Turned my oven on for just about 2 minutes, just enough for it to get warm in there, shut it off. Left the light on and set these all inside the oven. That's why this has a little bit kind of a crust on it. It was a little bit hard to kind of cut through, but it's not going to hurt anything. Just so that they could rise a little bit faster because it's dropped down to 70 in here. And I'm very impatient, so when my house is normally like almost 80, it goes a lot faster. So the oven's getting close, got about 100 degrees more to go. I will show you these when I take them out of the oven, and hopefully the other 2 bowls will be ready soon. Okay, here is our sandwich bread. Oh, I forgot. The recipe doesn't call for this, but I like to put some butter so we get a little bit softer crust. I used to melt butter. Now I just take the stick and let the loaf melt it for me. And I didn't even pay attention to how long these took. I didn't even set a timer. I just put them in, came back when they started to brown a little bit, and turned them. And then once I started to smell them baking, then I started kind of checking them for temp. I think I checked them twice. Okay, so I'm just going to turn those out onto my cooling rack. So not a whole lot of difference between the one that I scored and the one that I didn't. I don't think it really, it might have blown out the side a hair more, but really not much of a difference. Remember, I barely oiled those, so that's why. I usually don't hardly need anything. And there we go. So I'm gonna get a tea towel and just cover these. Try to keep a little bit of the heat and steam in to make the crust even a little softer. Okay, I want to try to get these shaped before Jason gets home. He ran to Sam's Club, so I'm going to have some stuff to sort through. Not quite as jiggly as I would like it, but it's pretty good. That one jiggles a little more. So, where's my scraper? Okay, I am going to put a little bit of flour down. What's the problem, Joey? Scraper's a little bit big for this bowl. And just in the time that we baked that bread, this starter is up over 2 cups already, and even more bubbly. So I just want to stretch this out, preferably without tearing it. So that we can laminate our blueberries into this one. And then this one is going to go in the refrigerator until tomorrow. I think that'll do. I don't know how many of these we're going to put on, but these are freeze-dried, but they are still just slightly sticky. I don't think I got them quite done, but that's okay. They'll be fine. We're in the bread. Let's do a little bit more. And then we're going to put some more in layers. So I'm going to take this side, fold it over halfway. I'm going to pinch the end just so that the blueberries stay in there. super windy out there. It is blowing stuff everywhere. I'll flatten it just a little bit. And then whoa, blueberries everywhere. Didn't think my last one had enough blueberries in it. So I'm just going to use this to help me halfway over-ish. I'm going to pinch this, try to keep the blueberries in. The last one I did, I had some sugar with some lemon zest and everything, and it, like I said, it just made a mess. The blueberries were frozen, so they juiced everywhere. See, that one's sneaking out there on the side. Made a mess. Okay, try to pinch this closed. And then here's where I usually really make a mess. I want to take this, kind of roll it. See, and then my dough starts making a mess. So now we want to shape this. See, I make a mess. Just slightly to give some tension on the top, and that helps the loaf to stay, I guess, as a loaf when you turn it out, and not I'm being very careful and not just falling into a blob. I see a lot of people just pulling, but I've found if I'm not careful, that's when it really splits open and makes a big mess. So I will take my time and do a little bit at a time. It's kind of a pulling and rotating motion, and you can see it's kind of stretching the top. And so that would kind of be what I would do for a round. I'm just going to put it into one of my stone pans to do more of an oval shape. So I'm going to kind of shape it like a loaf. I need to get another towel. And so what we're going to do, I do have a round Banneton basket, which is what they usually shape them in, but I don't have any oval ones, so we're just going to use this, flour it well so that it doesn't stick. And I don't have any rice flour, I just use my regular flour. I did grind up a little bit of rice to try. And it actually worked pretty well. I've used it on my other ones. Upside down into the loaf. And then going to kind of try to pinch some of these closed. Oh, I just made that one bigger. Well, looks like that's about the best it's gonna get. So I'm gonna just flour top of this a little bit so that it doesn't stick to the towel when I cover it. that's it. Just gonna loosely cover. And then that's gonna go in the refrigerator and we'll bake that tomorrow. I'm gonna do the same thing with the cinnamon raisin. Hopefully my battery doesn't die on you guys. And I'm going to do kind of a brown sugar and cinnamon swirl in this. And then I'm going to bake this one later today because, like I said, my last one turned into like a syrupy mess. So you can kind of see the cinnamon that we folded in kind of made a swirl. I don't know, I haven't been doing sourdough for very long, so maybe there's other tips or tricks that I haven't found yet. I'm sure there are, and there's so many people that do sourdough so many different ways. You really can't say there's just one way. So this is brown sugar that I mixed up from cane sugar I get from Azure, some molasses I got from Azure, I'll save a little bit of that for my top. So I think last time the moisture from soaking the raisins and the brown sugar made a very sticky syrup. It was a very good bread, but the crust was very much burnt. Okay. Hopefully I have enough raisins. I would rather have more cinnamon and sugar though, so I'm not too worried about it. Okay, same thing. Fold. Pinch it off. Some people layer more on top of here, but usually most of my stuff kind of comes over with the layer of dough. we're going to shape this the same way, but I'm going to put it into a very lightly greased loaf pan to be baked tonight. Okay, before I go making a mess out of that, okay, here goes nothing. I guess I'm gonna try coming from this folded side. Ooh, I feel like I'm gonna make a mess. Yup, blowing out the side. Okay, I forgot. My neighbor was coming down for eggs. So, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and stick it in the pan like that. It's probably not quite long enough, but that is gonna be a mess. Maybe. Oh, it blew out. You can't even pinch the seam because it keeps making a mess. Well, I think the bottom's just gonna have to burn a little bit because there's not much else I can do with it. So, it's gonna be kind of messy, but I'm gonna put a towel over it and let it rise and clean up my mess. Okay, the oven is preheating. I think I'm going to try baking this at 450. It still made a syrupy mess, so I think I'm going to try to pour some of that off. That is what burnt on the last one, but the last one was full, like, to the top. So obviously that's the brown sugar. Maybe I should try putting less in it next time. So once the oven preheats, I'm going to get this poured off and bake that, and then I'll show you when it's finished. Well, I was just editing the video for this bread and realized that I never picked the camera back up to show you the finished products. So this is the mess that came from our cinnamon raisin. I had to trim both sides and the bottom off, but it's got a nice cinnamon swirl. It was really good. And this is what's left of our blueberry. It turned out probably the best. And our sandwich bread. And that's it, guys. Have a good day. See ya on the next one.